Three, two, one. Bonjour, hola, namaste, salam. How's it going? Good morning, good afternoon. If you are wondering why you're here, I'll tell you. This is Real Talk with BP, which is no other than me. I just wanted to say one thing before we get started. I got one rule here. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Thank you. Now, I must tell you a little bit on how I got started with this podcast here. I was searching through the internet, a very long time ago, and I came across Joe Rogan's podcast, and it was a little different from other podcasts that I have seen before. He was, very relaxed and laid back, and you could talk about everything. It didn't really have a certain point to it, but you saw that he was having fun with his friends, and he was getting apart, you know, certain objects and certain things that he wanted to talk about. It was not restricted to one thing. So that's what my plan is here. Is not be restricted to one thing and really expand my horizons. And you will notice that I don't have a camera and you're only listening to my voice right now. That is because I am in college and we all know how college students are. And yeah, I'm broke. Let's just put it that way. I'm broke. But not for long though. I did receive a job at Milano's, and tell you it is a great place. Out in They have two stores. There's a store out in Flushing and a store out in Saginaw. And I'll tell you, I'm a delivery driver there. And when I first walked in to get the job, very nice people, you know, just gems. I don't think you could really find a better place that had better customer service. And if you're in Flushing or around Saginaw, I would definitely go in and try some of their pizza. It's a hidden gem in the Flushing area and Saginaw area for sure. They have thin crust, deep dish, and calzones, you name it. And it's a good price too. It's very good pizza for a good price. And by the way, if you see me at your door delivering your pizza, don't be afraid to tip nicely. I would really appreciate it. But I'm coming back to talk about myself and how I got started in this. So, as you guys already know, I am you know, watching coming from a Joe Rogan standpoint. So, just want to talk about, free my mind and talk about things that, you know, people don't really talk about or, some things that may be controversial and people are afraid to say. But I do live in Swartz Creek. I'm 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and just started college. And right now I'm only taking 12 credits at college, and per semester. Because when I was in high school, I never really had too good of a grade point average, and that kind of held me back from getting into the schools that I wanted to. But I'm actually glad that I went to Mott because so far I have my first semester paid off and coming close to paying off my second semester as well. So, I think it's turning out really good. Now, am I saying I'm not going to add more classes as I further my career at Mott? No, I'm actually going to add more classes and get more credits probably in my second year of Mott, just so I can, speed things up a little bit. But right now, I believe 4 classes just to start off, for me, anyways, is the best thing I can do in that scenario because I don't want to put myself in a situation where I find myself I'm failing classes that I'm actually paying for. And I believe that would just be a waste of money on both parts. But one thing that I do love about college is that it works, it's your time. You pick your schedule, which is, I love it so far. I work, I go to school in the mornings and it frees up the rest of my day for me to go to work at Amazing Milano's over in Flushing. And let's actually hop back on that pizza discussion here. We're going to talk about something that a lot of people don't really, you know, think is a very very controversial topic, and that's gonna be pineapple on pizza. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you this. Okay. I'm a big guy. All right. I'm a former offensive lineman, and let me tell you, offensive linemen know how to eat. Okay. You put a pizza down in front of us, we don't care what's on it. We're gonna eat it. All right. That's just how we are. But You open up a box of pineapple and pizza, pineapple and whatever else is on it, you know, I don't think there should be any hesitation. I think you should just jump in and grab a slice. And, for the people who say pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, I'm gonna have to tell you, you can go ahead and get out of the kitchen because this is about to be some real talk, okay? You look at other countries, right? You got people in, countries that are in very low poverty that are eating bugs and stuff, okay? Now, if I walk into a party and all they have is pineapple on pizza, I'm not gonna turn that down. I'm not just gonna grab one slice. I'm not gonna grab two slices. I may grab three because A, I love it. All right, I think pineapple does belong on pizza, and I think everybody should try it just once. Now I know we all have our own opinions, but hey, listen to me. Don't knock it till you try it, okay? There's been a lot of foods in my life that I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is gonna work out. I don't even want to try it. Well, guess what? I tried it, and I ended up loving it. So all I'm saying is that don't be too quick to judge now, because there's some people that probably will never ever try pineapple pizza. And some of you are probably listening and saying, well, good, they don't need to. It's disgusting. Well, let me tell you something. You keep that opinion to yourself. Because pineapple on pizza is game changing, okay? You got the sweet and you got, the saltiness. I mean, how can you go wrong? But I'm going to tell you about some, pizza places that I grew up with and, that I would highly recommend you guys trying once in a while. And we're going to get away from the Hungry Howie's, Little Caesars, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, things like that, okay? We're going to talk about the homemade, family owned, tossing the pie up in the air, spinning it, all that other types of stuff, alright? So, first we're going to start off with Latina's, okay? If you don't know where Latina's is, it's in Flint. I think you guys would absolutely love it. One of my favorites. You have Mario's, actually located, not too far from Latina's. They do have some good pizza, but I've been kind of disappointed lately with Mario's. It's their crust is kind of falling apart there. It's not as good as what it used to be. But then my absolute favorite, and I believe this is something that if you haven't tried it yet, you need to stop what you're doing, pick up the phone, and order a slice, because this is old school, old fashioned pizza here. Okay, now it is thin crust. Okay, now I know there's a lot of people who aren't too big of a thin crust fan, but I'm telling you, even if you're not, you need to try this, okay? It's called Sicily's Pizza, okay? Sicily's, remember that. Now, you walk in through the back. Through the back. Don't walk in through the front of the store, you walk in through the back. You walk through the kitchen, okay? And then you go and you pick up your food. Now, when you pick it up, they don't put it in a box, okay? What they put it in is a brown paper bag. Now, when you order a pizza and it comes in a brown paper bag, you know they're legit. Like, they're the OGs. So, you take the bag, take it home, you lay it out, then you get ready to open it. You're feeling the heat, and it's not even open yet. You're feeling the heat come from the bag. Then once you open it, the smell, the heat, everything just hits you right there. And you're like, yeah, this is going to be a good night. I'm glad I bought Sicily's. And you just order a normal pepperoni pizza. And you know what? Matter of fact, someone tell Dave Portnoy about this on Barstool Sports. Get him to do a pizza review on Sicily's Pizza in Michigan. I believe it's located on Saginaw Street. But definitely tell him about it. Get him out there, because this is some top-notch pizza. And you go out there and you open the pizza. Now it's thin crust, okay? And when you look at it, it's not normal pepperoni, okay? I mean, it's pepperoni, okay? Pepperoni's pepperoni. But instead of the big round pieces of pepperoni, it's the small pieces. It's small, round, circular cut pieces. And what happens is that when they cook it, the little round pieces of pepperoni, they curl up, almost form like a little bowl, okay? And in that bowl, it holds like the grease, and the cheese is like coming up around it and stuff like that. Oh, it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. And I believe in everybody's lifetime they need to try Sicily's pizza. That's just how good it is. And, you know, it's funny how pizza is like the staple of so many like get togethers or sporting events and things like that, because when you're doing like a football banquet or any type of sport banquet, what do we usually order? We usually order pizza. Or if we're having watching a sporting event on TV, or if we're watching some big movie, what do we order? We order pizza. That's usually the go-to, right? Well, I'm gonna say back when we played football, we would order pizza, just all the time, and it would be during the off season, during the regular season as well, and we just order pizza. And I'll never forget, we there would be pizza, and there was this one practice, and we had weightlifting, and then we had to go to the field after, and there were just boxes and boxes of pizza. And of course, the linemen got to be the first ones to get there, so we all ran over there and we grabbed, two or three slices, and we were heading out. Worst decision of my life. We're heading out to the weight room, eating, just stuffing our face with the pizza. And if I remember correctly, it was a cheese, pepperoni, and sausage pizza, okay? Now, as a lineman, we scarf it down, okay? And when we got in the weight room, oh man, it was bad, because your stomach started turning, and you knew that, oh man, this isn't even the end. We still got to go out to the field. And the coaches knew, and they're like, do you think it was a good decision to eat that pizza? And I look back now and I said, absolutely not. So, get out to the field, we start running left and right. People just start dropping, throwing up, just running over to the water fountains, getting some water. Man, it was bad. Never, I mean, ever put something bad in your system before you go and work out or go to practice. That's just how it is. But since we're on the topic of football, I'm going to talk about, my playing career a litll bit, just so have a little bit of background on me. I first started when I was in third grade. I was around, I believe, 8 years old, and I continued all the way till senior year in high school. And when I was 8 years old, I played in youth, but I was always the bigger kid, right? I was always the big guy always the lineman. Never got a chance to run the ball or throw the ball, anything like that. But that wasn't even the worst part. I believe I only played with kids my own age 1 year. 1 year. Because I was so big. They always moved me up. I always had to play with kids who were older than me. So, with that being said, even then, because we would have to weigh in before every game. Those of you who played youth football, you guys remember the weigh-ins on every Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, lining up in a line and having your pads on and standing on the scale to make sure we made the right weight for the football game. But no, not me. I had to strip down to my skivvies and stand on that scale hoping that I made weight. And this was still when I moved up. And guess what? I didn't eat all morning. I didn't eat all morning trying to make weight. Then, as soon as I got off the scale, I went straight to the concession stand. And you know what I bought? I bought a hot dog. I bought a hot dog and a Gatorade because I was so hungry. You had to feed the beast now, okay? And youth football was some of the best years of my life, because that was the first time I got, I was able to connect with people and have, not really say have friends, but, meet new people and kind of get out there and try something new. That was my first experience with sports. And I played for 10 years. In youth football, I'm glad to say that's where I started, and I still give back to youth football today. I love the youth program because to see what they do for the young kids and give them a place to go, they actually have a flag football league now. They didn't have that back when I was in youth, and it gives the younger kids time to, get used to the game of football and enjoy it while they're younger than the, starting age. And another thing I'd like to point out too is that they don't they don't have the weight restriction anymore. And I think back and I'm like, man, if they didn't have the weight restriction and I played with kids my own age throughout youth, just imagine how big of a beast I could have been playing against kids my own age. Now, I'm not going to get up on my high horse here and say I was, an animal, because we all know, well, if you know me, that I was a decent football player, but I wasn't anything spectacular. So, with that being said, we're going to move into middle school. I believe that middle school is where it really, really clicked for the 2019 class, because that's when we all came together. That's when we all, came from middle school. I mean, not middle school, but from our elementary schools. And we were separated through the teams and we never had a chance to play with each other. Well, when we got on the 7th grade football team, we were all new. We all met each other. We didn't really know who each other were, but we clicked. We had this chemistry that was, kind of insane to think about at a 7th grade level. You don't really think about it at that point. You're just like, oh man, these guys are really cool. But now that I look back, that's where the chemistry between all of us started, was in middle school. And we would go out and we would just hammer kids, okay? We would lay the lumber on almost everybody we played. There was a point in middle school where I can't remember if it was 7th grade or 8th grade football, where we dropped 60 points. 60 points on a team. And this wasn't some, slack team that was just, didn't really have a good record and we just thought we could blow right by him. No, this was a pretty decent team that we put 60 points up on. And I believe that putting up that amount of points, consistently throughout games, now I'm not saying we put up 60 points per game, but we were in that area. And I believe that putting points up like that, really, encrusted in our memory and in our mind our mentality of we have to be a dog. Now, we didn't understand that term back then. And now when I say dog, I mean D-A-W-G. There's a difference now, okay? Now, if you don't know the difference, we can talk about it some other time, but today is not the time. And now we didn't know what being a dog was in middle school, okay? We didn't know, how to play like a dog. But we played with our hearts. We played because it was fun. We were having fun out there. And the reason we were having fun is because we looked at the high school teams before us, the JV teams before us, and we see them coming out every season and just getting whooped season after season because we only had, before the 2019 class, there was only one other year that Storch Creek football made it to the playoffs. 1 year, one other year. So we wanted to make a change, and that was something we did understand in middle school. We knew that we had to change something, and we knew that we could be the group to do it. Now, going into high school now, we start as freshmen, and this is where we kind of got broken up a little bit because some players had more talent than others, and they got moved up, and they was rightfully so, and they showed out at the higher levels that they played at, and you just had to respect it. It was true talent. But for those who played freshman ball with me, there was a certain coach that we all know and love. Not gonna name names here, but we love him to death. And I would have to say someone that really stayed in my mind and I'll always remember, because it's not about you know what he did, or well, I'm not gonna say that because it is. Um, this coach would we'd be on offense and we'd be in the huddle and he would take up the whole play clock, just to decide what play we're gonna run. He would start off with say we're gonna do 22 dive. Wait. No. We're gonna do tray left. Okay. Now that's just football terminology for you people out there who don't really know what's going on. But it would be it would be getting close to having 1 second left or 2 seconds left on the play clock. And we would get delay of games. But we still won. We ended the season with 7-2. And I'll never forget that coach because he made me feel important. Okay? He made me feel like, you know what, I am a good player. I do belong out on the football field. I'll never forget, we were doing a 5-team scrimmage out at Goodrich, and I was playing defensive end. And I come in right off the edge, and I just smoked this kid. Like, absolutely decleat him, pick him up in the air, and slam him, right? Hardest hit I've, hardest hit that game. And I see him running out onto the field, and I just think that we're going to do a little, shoulder bump here. Well, I jump up in the air to give him a shoulder bump. This dude grabs me in the air and holds me. And I'm like, wow. First of all, I was in shock that that guy could hold me up. But then I was also thinking, wow, like, someone actually, like, thinks I'm doing good. Someone thinks, like, they appreciate me, right? And I was like, that fueled the fire. I was like, man, I really got to step my game up now. I can't just play at this level anymore. So we go a few games later, still the same day, still at Goodrich. Very last game. They drop back for a pass, okay? And now, when you're at a 5-team scrimmage, this is before the season starts, so you're not supposed to hit the quarterback at all. But I was feeling myself that day, and I was like, you know what? Anybody can get it. So I come off the edge, and I'm just running, full tilt, full head of steam, running at him. Doesn't see me coming. I put my shoulder right into his ribs. Now, I don't know how bad I hurt the kid, but for those of you who were on the freshman team, they all remember that they had to call that scrimmage off. They just called the game off, told people to go home because the kid was hurt. He was hurt. I hurt a kid for the first time in a football game. And I was like, wow, that's when I fully understood what I can do and who I could be. Now, coming the next couple of years, for those of you who used to play center, which is an offensive line position, you knew that you weren't going to play much defense if you were the center on that offensive line. So I was like, you know what? Do I really want to play center? Because I love defense. I ended my freshman year, and now, for granted, we're going against freshman kids, but I still think this is a pretty cool stat for me to have. I led the team in tackles, solo tackles. I had 40, okay? And I come forward, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I had a pretty good defensive outing. Should play defense again. Sophomore year, I played defense, did pretty good. Led the team in sacks, but I ended up quitting. There was some personal things that were going on in my life, and I really thought that was more important than, sports at that moment. So I quit halfway through the season, um, and I really do regret it. I regret quitting that year because the way that it made me look and the way people pictured me was not who I was. I'm not a quitter, okay? But that's what I depicted myself to be because that's what I did. I quit. Until this day, I regret it and I never should have done that. What I should have done was go up to varsity when they asked me. Because that summer, they asked me, Brenner Phillips, would you like to move up to varsity? We're extending the offer to you. If not, we completely understand. But the choice is yours. I took the weekend to think about it. And me being a sophomore in high school, I was stubborn, okay? I was very stubborn. And I wanted playing time. And I realized that when I got up to varsity ball, as a sophomore, playing time would be slim to none. So, I made, the choice that every stubborn athlete would do, and I went down because of playing time. Now, I should have never done that because I believe that if I would have went up to varsity, I would have never quit. I would have never quit, even with the personal issues that I had. But we move on from that, and now we're, at junior year here. And junior year was tough for me, okay? From going from a season where I quit halfway through the season, and I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to prove myself. I was the first one at every practice, last one to leave, cleaning up the weight room, because I feel like I had something to prove. I feel like people had the wrong picture of me, okay? I worked out super hard in the off season, and thank you to Coach Washa. His name's Aaron Washa, plays for the Philadelphia Soul as a receiver. He got me right. He taught me what getting that work means, and I really think you should trademark that because, I think that would be a phrase that is going to be commonly used in the future. I know I'm going to commonly use it when I, continue coaching, but Aaron Washa, I can't thank you for enough for getting my mind right and just instilling that mentality of, you work hard, anything is possible for you, and you got to have that dog mentality. So, junior year, I'm just hitting everything hard, going to the weight room, practicing hard, just 110% every time. And I was in line, to be the starting center that year, okay? My junior year in line to be the starting center. Probably not much defensive time for me, but I was getting ready to start, okay? Well, before the season started, we have a red and white game, okay? And let's back it up a little bit more. Before that, we have the scrimmage, 5-team scrimmage, which is usually held around the same time as two-a-days, I want to say. Maybe before, I'm not sure. But I kill it in the 5-game scrimmage. Like, I'm killing it, destroying it. I did really good on defense, did really good on offense. Then we go back to practice, okay? And we're practicing a couple days before the red and white game, and I go to tackle a tackling donut, which is a big ring that we use for practice. And as I go to tackle, my leg closes shut. I can't extend it, okay? It is locked shut. And I couldn't move. I couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. My leg was just in pain. I thought I tore something. I was for sure something had to be torn because I could not extend my leg at all. And I'm crawling off the field, and I have tears in my eyes. Not because it hurt. I consider myself to have a very high pain tolerance. But I was crying because this was my shot. This was my time to show them that I'm not a quitter. To show them who Brenner Phillips really is. And I was disappointed in myself. I was like, really? Really? You work so hard for this. Just to get hurt. You work so hard just to get hurt. Well, we go forward. We're not really sure what it is. Nothing's torn. No ligaments are torn. No muscles are torn. But they find a very large mass on the side of my leg, and they don't think that's what the problem was. But it comes to find out it actually is. I had a very large tumor that was connected to the side of my leg. And every time I bent my leg, my tendons would wrap around that tumor so tight that they would not have enough room and they would not have the ability to loosen up and release. So imagine, how can I put this? Imagine a yo-yo, okay? You know when you roll a yo-yo up and the string is wrapping around the inside? Imagine the inside, the tumor being the inside of the yo-yo, and imagine the tendons being the string. My tendons would wrap so tight around that tumor that it came very close for my tendons to snap. So I could have had a very, very long-term injury. But thankfully, the tumor was benign and they were able to remove it. Unfortunately, on the more negative side of things, I was out the entire season. But I learned to be the best hype man that, any team could have. I was hyping the crowd up. I was making sure the guys were in the game. Make sure their heads were in it. Because, I wanted to contribute to the team. I wanted to show them that even though I wasn't out on the field, I was still with them. And that led to a lot of other things. My injury led to a lot of other things that led to my bad grades, okay? I was very, and I mean very, bad in school that year, okay? It came to the point where I was ineligible for lacrosse, and that would be my second year of lacrosse. Sophomore year was my first year. I made varsity. So I was coming into it, I said, you know what? This is going to be awesome, all right? Love lacrosse. Second year, I'm going to kill it. I already know I'm going to be a starter. So I'm getting ready, make varsity again, but there's only one problem. I'm ineligible. And I wasn't eligible for almost a whole season. So I decided to turn my gear in and say, I'm sorry, coach. I can't do it. I have to focus on my grades. And that was the first time I have ever been ineligible for a sport. First time. So coming off a season where I couldn't play football, and then I can't play lacrosse, you have to understand, sports is a big part of my life. I don't know where I would be without it. But because that happened, because of those failures, that made me who I am today. I realized that you can't have success without failure. So you want to know what I did? Going in to next season, I grinded. I got that work. I looked inside of me, and I found that inner dog. And let me tell you, that inner dog was about to come off its leash. And when I say it wreaked havoc, okay? We go into the season, senior year. Man, I love these boys. I can't say how much I love the boys. Because those guys are the ones who kept me going. All of them. Every senior, every junior, even the sophomores that were on the varsity team. They kept me going. So I'm coming in, starting at center, and I'm going to make, this is a very true statement, and I'm going to make it right now. And if you want to argue with me about it, go ahead and come on this show. This is real talk, all right? The class of 2019, that offensive line, was one of the best offensive lines in the league. There was no one better than us. And I believe that to a T. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, let's not take away from the fact that we had two studs in the backfield. Now, with those two guys back there, they worked their magic. I've never, and I mean ever, seen anybody run the ball like those two. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm going to give them a shout out right now. Max Murphy and Thomas Marshall. Thomas Marshall, I have never seen anybody run as hard as you. You would lay the lumber on kids. And you would still hold on to the ball. It would take, and I'm not exaggerating here, it would take 4 or 5 guys to bring you down when you had a full head of steam. There was no one that could stop you. Alright? Now Max Murphy, I will never, and I mean never, forget the day, this was back in middle school, when you ran, and I mean ran through every single player that was on the field. And we both know what we're talking about here. This was a kick return. You ran through all 11 players on a kick return. And I'm not saying juking them out. You put your shoulder down and ran through every single one. And still scored. Like, what? As a middle schooler, that's not possible. You're not supposed to do that. But at that moment, I knew this kid was something special. So we come to the Linden game, right? We set a record on him. You set a record on him, Max Murphy. You set a single game rushing record. Now, Sorge Creek setting records. Think about that. Now, like I said, give credit where credit is due. Those two are some studs. But if it wasn't for the boys up front in the trenches, paving the road, we have Justin Schlack, baddest man I've ever played with. This dude would choke slam somebody to the ground and not even get a flag on him. He played mean. Then you got Carson Gardner. Very smart guard, okay? Fast on his feet. Then you got Eddie Paulson, my right-hand man. I wouldn't want anybody else playing next to me. It was, our combos were insane. Then you got the young Eli Ayala. First year playing football. First year ever coming out as a junior when we were seniors playing football. And showing his worth. Kid started off a little soft to begin the season. Yeah, I love you, kid, but you did. But you got tougher. You got tougher as the season went on, and it showed. And then you got the big old tight end, okay? Hunter Mofield. Now, you look at Hunter Mofield. Now, for those of you who don't know who Hunter Mofield is, he looks like Josh Peck, okay? From Drake and Josh. We all know what that show is. Dude looks like a Josh Peck. Big, greasy guy. And he's not a receiver. He's not the type of tight end to go out and catch the ball, right? Now, for granted, he has hands. Don't get me wrong, this dude can catch a ball. But he was insane. Coming down, I want to say second year of football, senior year, second year of football. Just coming down, playing mean. Meanest kid ever. He tried to destroy you every time. Now, you look at these guys. And you're looking at Eli, Justin, Hunter. And those guys are averaging like 6'3", 6'4", okay? They're tall guys. Then you got, Carson Gardner, that's about let's say 6 foot, 6'1", somewhere around there. He's a little bit. I don't want to say he's heavier. And it's not like this Carson Gardner's big either. He's a like not fat wise, but he has some muscle on him. He has some good muscle tone. He's a swimmer. Then you got, but he still has heavier than a running back or receiver. Then you got Eddie Paulson, about same height as me, 6 foot. Maybe around the same weight as me, but he was a lot stronger than me. A lot stronger. Kid was an animal. And then you got me. I'm about 215, 5'10", 6 foot, okay? And I play center. And when you play center, you got the big hosses up against you. The big, like, 300-pound nose guards that are just a brick wall when you try and get out of the way. But I had that dog mentality. Go and look at my highlight tape. And you'll see Owasso, Linden, Kersley, all right, Holly, Midland, Hamity. You'll see every one of them on my highlight tape. You'll see, well, you won't see Fenton because I was injured that game. But I'm telling you, I put those guys on my highlight reel. And it's not just some turn somebody and go. I pancaked them. I mean, we're at IHOP, big fella. Free pancakes all day for you. Now, I got honorable mention all league, okay? And I'm thankful for it because I know that I wasn't a star player, okay? I was a key player, but I wasn't a star player. And something that's going to stick with me for a very long time is, son, now this is a coach telling me this. He says, listen to me. He says, you're not a good athlete. We're just going to get straight down to the facts. You're not a good athlete. But what you are is a hard worker. One of the hardest workers on the team. And you have a lot of heart. And I was like, I'm looking at him, I'm like, is this guy insulting me right now? Or should I take it as a compliment? Well, guess what? I took it as a compliment. Because criticism is the advice that no one wants to hear. So I took that criticism and I used it. So I believe that formed who I was, not only as a football player, but as a person as well. So to go on, we have, we finished this season, what was it, 6-3, 6-4, something like that. We lost to Fenton, Hamity, and Brandon in the regular season. We lost to Brandon in the Metro League Championship game. First time that Swords Creek has ever played for a Metro League Championship. We really wanted that one. We really did. But things didn't go our way, and we had to move on. We actually lost by 1 touchdown. It was the final minutes to go. We lost by a touchdown. And, it was heartbreaking. And, but we couldn't hang our heads on it because we had bigger things to think about, and we had Midland coming up. Now, Midland was a amazing team, one of the best teams in the playoffs that year. And the fact that we drew them first round is insane. But we drew them. We were excited. We were ready to go. I think the fact that we were just in the playoffs was enough motivation for that. And we get there before the game. And we're sitting in the locker room. And, we look at each other and we're like, look, this is extra football for us. This is extra football for us. No, there's not many teams that are out here right now being able to play. And we were so beat up from the Brandon game that we just wanted to have fun. We wanted to go out there and have fun. At the end of the day, we didn't care what the score was. We wanted to have fun. So that's what we did. Now, Midland whooped us by a lot, but that doesn't mean we didn't have fun. We had fun, okay? I'll never forget that game. We were talking trash, playing our game, and it was just fun. How many times can you take a beating like that and say you had fun? And it was bittersweet, you know. We were in the playoffs, you know. It was a great time, but when that game ended, that was the last time I was ever going to play football with those boys. And when you have chemistry and a connection with those guys that you play with, it'll never change. Those are people that you're going to have with the rest of your life. And I want all the seniors to know that played on that 2019 team, we did it differently. We were all in. We ignored what people said. We were coming off a, what was it? Was it 3-6 record? Yeah, 3-6 record. Coming off that, going into our senior year, people were calling us trash. People said same old Swords Creek team, but we blocked it out. We did it differently. We played our game. And we had confidence. And I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for playing alongside of me and making the memories that we have. Couldn't do it without you. And I don't think we'll ever forget what happens pre-game in that locker room. And no one will ever understand what happens pre-game in that locker room. And it's something that will be between us and something that will stay between us. Alright? The pre-game music, you all know what I mean, for those of you who played. And let's talk about pre-game music. Pre-game music is, that's something that can get you going, alright? Like, you know that you have that certain playlist before every game. This goes for boys and girls here. You have that certain playlist where you're like, oh yeah, it's about to go down. It just gets you in that mood. You get ready. Now, everybody has their own way to get ready for, a game. But I believe music is an essential part of it. And, let's get off of, pregame and, hyped up music and stuff like that. And let's just talk about music in general. The way that music makes you feel and the way that people connect with music is unbelievable. Like, you look at some of these special kids in here and they turn out, special needs kids that turn out to be music prodigies. There's this kid on America's Got Talent. His name is Cody Lee. He is blind and he has autism. And he has one of the most amazing voices I have ever heard. And he's blind and has autism. Now, I recommend you all typing in Cody Lee, America's Got Talent, audition. And just watch the video. Watch it. I don't care if that's not the the style of music that you listen to, or if it's not interesting to you. Just please watch it. I highly recommend it because it shows that, yes, people may have disabilities. People may have, you know, things that others don't, but that doesn't stop people from doing and achieving what they want to do. And somebody that, actually, there's a group that I want to bring up. It's actually a local band from Swords Creek that are currently achieving and getting to the place that they want to be. Big props to them. We're going to talk about ADP, a different perspective. And I know a lot of guys from this band, and I love them to death. And they're killing it right now. Um, and I would highly recommend, if you haven't checked out a show yet, definitely going and checking out a show. Um, the members of the band, you have Jackson Newhart, Brennan Pinkston, Shane Wheeler, Alex Loafman Jones, and now I believe there's someone else. I'm not sure. Sorry if I can't remember your name. My bad, big guy. But they have a show coming up, and I highly recommend you guys go and check it out. It's going to be at Blackstones in Flint, December 8th, from 5:30 to 8, and they will be performing with another band called Cornerwall. So good luck with both of you guys. Both the bands. Wish you best of luck. I'm gonna try and make it out if I don't have work, but also there will be food and beverages available that I've been told. So it's gonna be a good night. Go out, enjoy some music, and just show your support if you're from Swords Creek. Even if you're not, if you're from out of town and you want to find something to do, head over to Blackstones and listen to some good music. You won't regret it. And speaking of bands, not necessarily those two bands, but you want to look at the big bands like people like Motley Crue and others, and people like that. And you look at how they make such great music. You can even look at single artists like Jimi Hendrix. You look at the drug use that those bands and artists, use, and some of these people would be like on a daily basis. And we're not just talking about marijuana here. We're talking about hardcore drugs. And they're still going out and putting on a show. And it's insane that the music that they come up with. And I believe that, drugs work in mysterious ways. Now, I don't recommend anybody using drugs, okay? But I'm just saying that if you're coming out like Motley Crue and you're doing some hardcore drugs before a show and are still able to play Kickstart My Heart and Girls, Girls, Girls. Oh, I would also listen to those two songs, by the way, if I were you. Great songs. But the fact that you could come out and play songs like that to a T and not mess up is insane. But we're going to talk about some other types of drug use too. We're going to talk about drug use in athletes, okay? We see a lot of football players, basketball players, and other athletes of that nature, even in girls' sports too. You see athletes getting banned or suspended for marijuana use, the use of ganja, weed, okay? Mary Jane. And I'm gonna get a little. This is where the real talk comes into play. Okay. I believe that marijuana should be allowed for sports. Now, I'm not saying like, you know, what I'm trying to say is sports therapy. Okay. When you're trying to recover from an injury or recover from an illness, something that you may face, you will be surprised at how well and how fast you will recover from smoking weed. Okay? Now, let's look at the athletes that smoked weed, okay? And I want you to tell me if they had a successful career or not, okay? We got Jason Williams, aka White Chocolate. Had some of the best handles and some of the best dimes. Passing precision was insane. No one did it better than him. And he was white. He smoked weed. You got Michael Vick, one of the best. Changed the game. He changed the game. One of the best mobile quarterbacks to ever do it. You're talking about somebody who can not only throw the deep ball, but get out of the pocket and break tackles and run 30, 40 yards down the field for a touchdown. People weren't ready for that. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Not only did he get in dogfights, but he also smoked weed. Then you got Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams has to be one of the biggest potheads in football history. He played for the Miami Dolphins, okay, in his pro career. But let me tell you something. He was a beast, an animal. People may not agree with me, but back in Ricky Williams' college days, dude was an animal. And he's a pothead. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. And then you got Randy Moss. Randy Moss. Now, my opinion, okay, Randy Moss here, my opinion, best receiver in the game. All right? No one better than him. And still yet, there still is no one better than him. He smokes weed. And look at the type of career he had. Come on now. Then you got Michael Phelps, an Olympic swimmer. I don't know if anybody's seen the picture of Michael Phelps, but he won a couple medals. But then there was a picture of Michael Phelps at a house party at a college. And he was taking big rips from a bong. And he's an Olympian swimmer. Come on now. Think about it. And for swimmers, you gotta have some really good stamina. So, for those of you who say your stamina's not gonna be the same if you smoke weed, your lungs are gonna go bad, look at Michael Phelps. Now, given he's an Olympian athlete, okay, he stays in shape, but that doesn't mean you can't smoke weed at the same time. Dude kills it out there, okay? He's swimming laps around people. Michael Phelps is just an animal. And then you got Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, a UFC fighter, one of the toughest guys in the game. One of the only gangsters in the game. Okay? Nate Diaz has came out publicly on camera and has admitted to smoking weed. And you're talking about one of the top-notch fighters in UFC. He has came out publicly and said he has smoked weed. And now you got Jorge Masvidal, who is my opinion one of the top fighters in the UFC right now. I think anybody could go up against him, and it would be an interesting fight. I'm not saying that Jorge Masvidal would beat everybody, but I'm saying Jorge Masvidal will hold his own. Something I would like to see. I would like to see Jorge Masvidal and Paulo Costa go at it. That would be a very interesting fight, in my opinion. But Paulo Costa needs to get healthy first and recover. Paulo Costa got some information for you. Smoke some weed, big fella. Do wonders. But Jorge Masvidal has even came out saying that he smokes weed. He even after a fight said, "I'm gonna go home and smoke some weed and eat some pizza." Like, what? Come on now. It's insane. Then you got Arnold Schwarzenegger here, okay? If you guys don't know who he is, he's a Mr. Olympian, uh, one of the strongest men to ever live. Former, I don't know if he's former or if he still is the governor of California, but he also played in a couple. He played in Terminator. You know, that I'll be back. You know, that guy. Well, he smokes weed, okay, and he's one of the strongest men to ever live. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and type in Arnold Schwarzenegger on YouTube and watch him lift. I'm telling you, this guy is yoked, in shape, unbelievable. And he smokes weed. Not only that, but when he was governor of California, he changed smoking and owning weed from being a felony to a misdemeanor, which is only a charge of $100, a fine of $100. And he's an athlete, one of the strongest men to ever live. Think about it. Now, then you got Lamar Odom. You got guys like Lamar Odom, which is a different case, okay? Yeah, Lamar Odom smokes weed, but this dude got stupid and got into hard stuff, and we all see how that turned out. But all I'm saying is that marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it, it's not as bad as what people think now. Alright? Like, just give it a chance. That's all I'm saying. Give it a chance. Now, I know it's legal in Michigan when you're 21, and I know it's legal in California. When you turn 21, if you're not already, go to a dispensary and buy some weed. Don't even have to buy weed. You could buy edibles. You could buy spray. They have sprays. And just try it. If you're having trouble relaxing, or if you have anxiety or anything like that, smoke some weed. Don't get on pills. That's how you get addicted. That's how you overdose. Name one person that has overdosed on weed. I'll wait. Pills is where they get you. Pharmacies. The reason that they want you to buy pills and prescribe pills to you is because of the money. Now, guaranteed, they tax weed too. But how often are you going to use pills more than weed? Think about it. Now you got weed. You're not going to overdose on weed, I promise. Then you won't have the problem of getting on an addiction of pills. I believe that weed is a safer route than prescription pills. Now, we're going to look into some celebrities that smoke weed, okay? Snoop D-O-double-G, Snoop Dogg, okay? Smokes weed. One of the best rappers in the game. He smokes weed, and he has a family that he loves and cares about. He used to coach a youth football league. He has his own youth football league. I believe it's called Snoop's Youth League or something like that. I don't know. I have to look it up. And he holds celebrity pickup games, basketball games. And you look at him, he's pretty lengthy, has some height to him, skinny as could ever be, smokes weed, but he's out here giving people buckets. Giving people buckets. And you mean to tell me weed's bad for you? Come on now. Now let's talk about, you want to talk about having connection with people, and just, because these are two people that you think would never, and I mean never, would get together and be friends. Look at Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. Now, let's be real. Martha Stewart's a criminal. You hate to see it. You hate to say it, but she's a criminal. Went to prison for tax evasion. Come on now, Martha. But the connection that these two have are insane. Like, you would never think about it. And you know that Martha Stewart is probably smoking weed with Snoop Dogg, but hey, that's their business. But what I'm trying to say is that you got to look at the connection between those two. It may not seem likely, but it's happening, okay? Those two are like best friends. Which brings me to my next point here, okay? You have to look at the connection between teachers and students, coaches and students, all right? Now, I believe that male coaches connect with male athletes better than, male athletes connect with teachers, okay? I believe males connect better with males and females connect better with females. I believe that's just a given fact. Now, to elaborate on what I'm trying to say is that there is a lack of male teachers coming up in the school system. I believe that males don't want to go into this profession because they believe they can't make any money. Well, I'm telling you this. Teaching is not about money, okay? Yes, everybody wants to have money. But teaching is more rewarding than you will ever believe. And I believe that with males not wanting to come into a school system and teach is ruining and making it harder for the male students in these classrooms, because the male students they don't feel needed and they don't have the want to be there. They should have a reason to go. Have somebody or something they look forward to. I would like to pull up I'm not going to do this right now, but let's see how, the percentage of how many male to female ratio, how many skip class, and how many are absent, okay? Now, I believe females connect with female teachers a lot better than males connect with female teachers, okay? So, the reason that I believe that more males should go into teaching is because a lot of these people in schools don't have a male figure in their life. And if they do, sometimes, that male figure isn't too positive. Now, lucky for me, I'm very thankful to have a wonderful father that cares and loves about me, and a wonderful mother. But some of these kids are looking for a male role model. And sometimes, if they're an athlete, the coach is the only thing that they got. But what about those who aren't athletes? Someone needs to be there and give them hope, give them motivation. Make a connection with the students. I guarantee if you make a connection with them, they'll want to come to class. They'll want to do their work. And I'm gonna tell you why I want to be a teacher. Okay, I want to be a special education teacher, and I want to be a football coach. Okay, and I want to be a special education teacher because I love special needs. Okay, and there's people out there that never give special needs kids the time of day. But I feel like special needs kids have the same right to success as we do. Okay? They're human, just like us. And we need to treat them like that. Alright? They may not learn like us. They may not, experience emotions like us. They may not comprehend things like us, but they are human, just like us, and people need to understand that. And they deserve the same right to success as we do. So if I can go into a school system and help these kids succeed and get them on the right path, then that's all I want. I want to make a change in the school system. And not only for the special needs kids, but if I see kids, male students out in the hallway doing something they're not supposed to do, or see them out of school and not coming to class, you gotta make a connection with them. You gotta show them that someone does care about you. Show them that you need to get to school. You need to be better. You need to improve on what you're doing, because kids right now, they have nobody telling them that. You got so many parents that are lackadaisical in their job as being a parent, not caring on what their kid does. Which is why I want to get into coaching as well, is because if I can't connect with students on a teacher level, then hopefully I can connect with them on a coaching level. And as a coach, wins and losses, of course we all want to win, right? That's every coach's dream. That's what determines if a coach keeps his job or not, wins or losses. But we need to set that aside and look at, how are we impacting these athletes when football's over? Are they ready for the real life? Are they ready for when they can't play sports anymore? I mean, come on now. It's not, yes, it is about developing, better football players. But what coaches forget is, how are you making him a better person? How are you making her a better person? I mean, I coach 7th grade football, okay? We finished the season 5-1. First year coaching, I thought I did a pretty good job. And a player of mine, he gave me a little keychain. I haven't put it on my keys yet, because I always lose my keys, and this is something I don't want to lose. And on this keychain it says, a good coach can change a game, but a great coach can change a life. And when I got this and read it, I was like, wow, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. I want to change these kids' lives for the better. And not only kids, not only students, but people's lives in general. If I can go about making someone's day better and improving their life, then I'm happy. You know what? I am not a materialistic person, okay? I don't care about how much ice I got on my wrist. I don't care about all the chains or what type of shoes I'm wearing. Now, yeah, I like to look nice from here and there. But I'm not about all that fancy stuff. What I'm about is making sure that I make your life less stressful and less hard as it already is, because people don't know what you go through. People don't understand what life you live. And people don't, it's hard to walk in someone's shoes, okay? You need to understand that things are going to be alright. Even if you're facing hard times right now, things are going to be alright. You just have to keep pushing forward and keep your head up. And never let anybody limit you to your success, okay? Something that my father has always told me is that you yourself determine your future. Nobody else determines your future but you. Okay? Never let anybody limit you to your success. Don't let it be your parents. Don't let it be a teacher. Don't let it be a boss. Don't let it be some random person out on the street. You go out and get what you want to get. And that's real talk. Alright? I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I will be coming up with more episodes soon. I will be taking guest speakers as well. So if you would like to express your opinions on some things on this show, feel free to contact me. You can reach me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And if you have my number, go ahead and text me or call me. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. But this is Real Talk with BP. And listen, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Thank you.